accounted for the seed.
That's it.
And the promise is talking about the promise of the Holy Spirit.
That's it. That's the seed.
So that means if a person don't have the Holy Spirit, what does that mean?
You don't have the promise. Goodness.
Look at Acts 1. Here's when the Lord was getting ready to be taken up. So he told them, here it is again. See, this is what I say. The Bible builds. It explains itself. So here's where the Lord, before he was taken up, we're going to watch this. We're going to get some old. We're going to go back to the Old Testament and show that the Old Testament confirms the matter, what we're talking about. It's going to confirm it. So that's what I say. When you get the right understanding of what this stuff is talking about, you're like, man, you see the old and the new, this stuff is saying the same thing.
Yes, sir.
But one dispensation was before he came. This dispensation was after he came.
Come on.
See, but then this stuff lines up. So here's the Lord saying what he said. In verse 4, Acts 1 and 4, the Lord said it. He told the disciples.
And being assembled together with them, commanded them that they should not depart from Jerusalem, but wait for the promise of the Father, which says he, which have heard of me.
Wait for the what?
Wait for the promise.
The promise.
The Holy Ghost.
Watch this. Watch this. We're going to get this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. I believe it's in the 7th chapter of Acts. Watch this. Now watch this. Notice what he said. He said, not to depart from Jerusalem. Why does he say that? So is this saying, since what I say, is work to do on this, because what does he mean by not departing from Jerusalem?
Come on. Explain.
All right, Jerusalem, what did you, okay, let's break it down. And this one, if Jerusalem represented what?
The kingdom.
In that kingdom, it represented, it was a city of peace and everything. So, okay, obviously it's not talking about a physical location. But when he's telling you this, stay where you're being taught. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's saying. Stay in the safety zone of what you know, if you got some sound doctrine and teaching,
Come on.
stay there. That's all he's saying. He wasn't tell you to look. People say, I'm taking a tour of Israel. Okay, you got baptized in Jordan. It don't mean that. You know what I'm saying? It don't mean that. He's not telling you to go to a physical location. But here, the Jerusalem represented the city of peace. This is where a lot of foolishness wasn't going on. You in Jerusalem, man, get yourself together. Look, when the Israelites had to go back on the feast days and everything, you know, you don't go in there acting any kind of way. You know what I'm saying? When you go into Jerusalem, straighten yourself up, you know what I'm saying? Fix yourself up before you come out your house. That's what I'm saying. You know, just stay where you know, the safety zone in this case is talking about, you got sound teachers, stay there.
That's right.
So he told me to wait for the promise. And watch this. We're going to go back, and we get one scripture here, we're going to go back to the Old Testament and confirm the matter. And this stuff was written hundreds of years before this was actually came to pass. But it's saying the same thing.
Confirming the word. Confirm.
All right, so here's, let's get the 7th chapter of Acts, and then we're going to go back. Watch this. And Stephen that got stoned is rehearsing the matter before the Jews and everybody. So he goes back to the beginning, back there in Moses' time.
Speak, Lord.
All right, it says, okay, 7th chapter of Acts, verse 15. He's rehearsing all the history of the Israelites right there in basically 6th and 7th chapter of Acts. So right here he's telling them, he says, what's that in verse 16? Well, verse 15.
The second?
7th chapter.
7th chapter, verse
Right.
15?
And he rehearsing the matter before the Israelites. What is it?
7:15? So Jacob went down into Egypt and died. He and our fathers. And were carried over into Sichem, and laid in the scepter that Abraham bought for a sum of money of the sons of Immer, the father of Shechem.
All right, so in this, if you look, do some study on that word actually means the place of burdens. So he said they came down to Egypt and died. Right, so watch this. So it says, what is 17? What is it? Well, what happened?
But when the time of the promise
The time of the what?
the promise drew near,
What happened?
drew nigh, which God had sworn to Abraham, the people grew and multiplied in Egypt.
You see that? So see this right here, the Old Testament is the New Testament concealed. We're going to go back and show them when they had to keep these feast days. We're going to show you what we're talking about. But he said, when the time of the promise drew nigh, which God had sworn to Abraham and everybody. There it is. The time of the promise. And that was in the Old Testament.
Yes, sir.
See, all right, so now we're going to get some serious foundation now, because we're going back to Leviticus.
Yes, sir-ree.
We're going back to Leviticus. Leviticus 23. You know what I'm saying? The Bible, it fulfilling this, just lines it up. So Leviticus 23. So the Lord said in the 3rd chapter, we talked about when he said it. So we just broke down what he said. When you're in the flesh and people that have sins ain't been forgiven, they're in the flesh. You go over there talking this, that's a parable to them. You say you're in the flesh, they think you're talking about you in the body. No, you in the flesh being your sin, you still in your sins.
Still in your sins. Wow.
All right, watch this. So we're going back and here, this dispensation. So the Lord, so he had the intercessor. In this case, it was Moses, which was the mediator under the Old Covenant.
Come on.
But the Old Covenant is actually testifying about the good things to come, which that's what we in now. Yep. All right, so he says, what did he say?
What verse?
Starting at verse 1.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
All right, watch this. All right, hold it right there. So, this, like I said, now you get a lot of Jews and everything, even today, people that are still, their understanding haven't come open. So, they're still holding these feasts, but where you got to break it down, the Lord had to show you what's still in play, what's being fulfilled, right? So, he's not telling them when the New Testament came about, when the Lord came to the earth to fulfill what was written, and he fulfilled everything to the letter.
Come on.
What was testified as far as concerning the Old Testament. So we got to go back and let the Lord show us. So we got to know, watch, this is a good example of what we're talking about. So he said these are his feasts.
Yes.
Right? So watch this. What did he say in verse 3?
6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. And holy convocation, ye should do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
All right. Now, this has got to be worked on.
Yes, sir.
You got people with the wrong understandings. If you look at this thing in the light of your own intellect, you say, hey, don't work. But what is he talking about? What is he talking about keeping the Lord's Sabbath?
Come on. Explain.
See, but I'm saying when the Lord break it down, so he said the 7 days is the Sabbath of rest. Mm-hmm. And in it, you should do no matter work, right?
Come on.
All right, see, here's where the 7-day Adventist, you're going to get a fight. You're going to get a fight from him. See, the 7 days, Saturday is the Sabbath. All right, watch this. Let's get Hebrews. Let's get it. Like I said, once the Lord put light on this stuff, you say, what? You know what I'm saying? Because this stuff will have you bound. If you looking at and take this thing literally, not let the Lord break it down, what does he mean that you should do no? So if you work at Walmart, Man, I'm off.
Still on.
See, you see what I'm saying? If you look at this thing and you don't understand it, you say, okay, well, I'm saying I work at IBM and say, wait a minute, man, hold up. The Sabbath, man, I got to be off. All right, watch this. I'm going to go to work. All right, watch this. So he says, Hebrews, let's get Hebrews 4, I think it is. That's what I say, we thank the Lord for this.
Thank God for
And we thank the Lord because it's freedom, and it's freedom in when you understand and come open the things.
Come on.
Because people are bound, you know what I'm saying? You got people that reform religions off of this.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Talking about you don't eat no pork.
Lost.
Woo, man.
Goodness.
Look, people, I see this at work all the time. Man, all you serve is pork. But every time you serve bacon, they get bacon.
Same thing. Same thing. Yes, sir.
So I guess that ain't pork. It must be a version of chicken. Because people eat bacon.
Still doing it. You know what I'm
All right, here we go.
saying? Yes, sir.
All right, so he said, now what we need to find out, is this still instituted or is it done away with? That's what we need to find out.
Come
See,
on.
that's what we need to find out because
That's
you're
good.
going to get into some debates with people.
That's a good.
But if your understanding come over, and
Yes.
sometimes you got to keep your mouth shut because you know they ain't doing making them mad.
So,
All right, so we need to find out, is it still in force or is it done away? Then when the Lord came, some people say, all right, so we're going to find out. So he said, the Sabbath of rest.
Yep. Come on.
And I think in one scripture, if I want to say it's Exodus. All right, hold on. Before let's get whole place to Hebrews. I want to go back to Exodus and find out, people say we were trying to be like the Lord. Say, man, we trying to pattern like the Lord. So, okay, let's find out what the Lord did. I believe it's Acts 20, 21, 20.
Exodus.
It's Exodus. See if I can find this.
Man.
Let me find it. Let me see here.
How about chapter 20, verse 10?
What did it say?
But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God.
There was one of them, but it is one
Okay.
particular. Can't find it because he mentioned it here and then he comes back. Let me find this.
Okay.
I have to look it up.
And this I should do no.
Let me look it up. I gotta get this one because it's a good one. It's a good one. All right, hold it right there. Let's see. Ready to put it up. Oh, what's
It's gonna be a good one. Wow.
all right, let's find Exodus 31:17. Here we go. So we're going to let the Lord put some light on this. 31:17, which goes along with what we're talking about Acts 19, Exodus 20, and all that. So Exodus 31:19, what is it? Watch this now. He said it's the Sabbath of rest. Let's find out what happened when the Lord rested.
You said 31, Exodus 31.
31:19, what is it?
17, right?
31, what is it?
17, 19.
What is that?
I got Exodus 30
31 and verse 17, what is it?
or 17. Okay.
What is it? Okay.
It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever.
Right?
For in 6 days
Okay.
the Lord made heaven and earth,
And then what?
And on the seventh he rested
And was what?
and was refreshed.
Refreshed. All right, here we go. All right, let's get Hebrews. So 31:17 said the Lord rested and was refreshed. Let's find out. I said we that following the Lord, we're trying to be like the Lord, God like, and all that stuff, right? Right. So how we be refreshed? How is this going? Does that mean because you got off from your job? What is he talking about?
Good God Almighty. It ain't that.
Before you get Hebrews, let's get this. Watch this. Matthew 28. Watch this. Before we go into Hebrews. Matthew 28, verse is it 11? And a lot of people are familiar with the scripture. And verse
11, you said?
Wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. 11.
Chapter 11?
Yeah,
Chapter
I
11.
think it's 11. Yeah, the verse stuff. Bear with me here, something like that. Bear with me. Is it Matthew 11? Yeah, here we go.
Got to get real. Chapter 11, okay, I'm ready.
All right. Matthew 11. Now watch this. If the Lord said, watch this, everyone. He said, so the first phase, he said, this is the Sabbath of rest. In it you shall do no manner of what? Work. Watch this. So watch what he said here in verse 20, 29. What he said?
Come unto me,
All you that what?
all you that labor.
Is labor working?
Yes, it is.
It is working, eh?
Yes, sir.
And then what?
And are heavy laden,
And then what?
and I will give you rest.
So is he telling people to stop doing your job?
No, sir.
So what labor is he talking about? So if he told us in Exodus that in it you shall do no manner of work, it's the Lord's Sabbath. And in that day he was refreshed in that Sabbath. He hollered the Sabbath, right?
Yes, sir.
He hollered the Sabbath, right? So he telling us not to work.
Not the word of man
Oh,
talking
Lord.
about. Not the word of man talking about.
All right. So he said, come on, all you that labor and heavy labor. Let's go to Hebrews. Let's go to Hebrews. So ain't no work.
Yes, sir.
Hebrews 4 says, all right, so we start at verse 1. Watch this.
There it is.
Oh,
Right
that's
there.
good. Watch this.
There it is, right there. Let us therefore fear,
Let's do what?
lest a promise
Of
being
what?
left us of entering into his rest.
Whose rest?
His.
So what did he say about the Sabbath? He said, it's the Sabbath of rest.
Sabbath of rest.
And in that Sabbath, he rested and was refreshed, right?
Refreshed.
So what is he telling us? What is it?
Enter into his rest.
His rest.
Any of you should seem to come short of it.
See, it's not being obeyed, we cannot enter into the Lord's rest. What are you saying? Keep going.
For unto us was the gospel preached,
As well as unto who?
as well as unto them.
See, and we just went back and we're going to go back and we're still going back to Leviticus. We said the gospel was preached unto them. It was the gospel.
That was back
He said it was the Sabbath. He said the Sabbath of rest, you keep the Sabbath.
Yes, sir.
In it, he rested. You're supposed to rest. He's still talking about this rest. Then what?
But the word preached did not profit them,
Uh-huh.
nor being mixed with the faith in them that heard it.
See, they ain't believe nothing. Same thing now. People, you hear this stuff, they don't believe nothing. It ain't going to happen. Then what?
For we which have believed do enter into rest,
All right.
as he said, as I have sworn in my wrath, if they shall enter into my rest, although the works were finished from the foundation of
In the world is he talking about?
Although the works were
He
finished.
said the works was finished from the foundation of the world. What works?
Goodness. It's getting deeper and deeper, man. It's getting deeper.
See, the works were finished from the foundation. What works? All right, hold on. We're going to let's build with Bible. 1 Peter, give me 1 Peter. He said the works were finished from the foundation. What works is he talking about?
Come on.
1 Peter, what did he say?
It's getting deeper. First chapter,
First chapter, Peter. 1 Peter, first chapter. I believe I ain't mistaken. All right, yeah. Verse 19, 1 Peter the apostle. Like I said, this stuff, man, it's divinely inspired. And I'm a living witness. This stuff is inspired by the Most High.
Yes, it
And
is.
when you go in this thing, try to tackle this stuff, man, you're going to make a fool out of you.
Chapter 1, verse 19.
What do you say? Watch this.
But with the precious blood of Christ,
Uh-huh.
as of a lamb which without blemish and without spot.
He was ordained when?
Foundation of the world.
Before the foundation of the world.
Yes, sir.
So the works that he's talking about is the redemptive work.
That's it.
The works that the God is talking about was the redemptive work. Watch, we can prove it. Because he said 6 days the Lord created heaven and earth. But let's find out what was he doing. Watch this. And we building with Bible here. Watch this. All right, before we leave Hebrews, go down. I want you to go down to
Hebrews.
yeah, still in Hebrews. All right, watch this. See, this is consistent with what the Lord said. When he said, come unto me, all you labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Mm-hmm. Watch this, verse 10, chapter 4 in Hebrews. What is it?
Chapter 4, verse 10 says, for he that entered into his rest, he also has ceased from his own works, as God did from his.
All right, so what works is he talking about ceasing from? We got to cease. He said we got to cease from our own works. The same thing he said, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and then we'll give you rest. So here he said to enter into God's rest, we got to cease from our own works. What did he say in Galatians or earlier? The works of what? In Galatians 5.
I'll have to go back to that.
What did he say? The works of what are manifest? That's the works we got to cease from. In order to enter into God's rest, we got to cease from our own works. Same thing he said about laboring. He said, in it you shall do. We say, so this is consistent. So the old is the new. So we still got to keep the Sabbath. But what Sabbath is he talking about?
Works of the flesh.
The works of the flesh are manifest is what we got to cease from.
That's sin all
There it is.
That's sin all day. All that stuff. Murders, envying.
All that. This is what we got to cease from. In order to enter into God's rest, we got to cease from our own works. That's why he said, you are heavy laden with sin.
God Almighty.
That's deep. That's deep. That's deep.
So we still got to keep the Sabbath. Watch this. Give me, look, give me Luke 6. Give me Luke 6. We're building with Bible. Look, Lincoln Laws. You know what I'm saying?
That's heavy.
Woo. See, so we just show in there. We still gonna get on the video. We're still working on it. But he said we got to keep the Sabbath. But it ain't talking about a literal day. He talking about his Sabbath. It's talking about the rest. So to keep watch. How do we profane the Sabbath? How do we profane the Sabbath?
Jesus.
Now you can't ask a Catholic this because they sit there doing rosaries and doing all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Look, you say 7 Hail Marys and all this stuff, and you sprinkle it incense. Stuff off me, man. See?
Good God Almighty. Wow, that's heavy.
So what was the question?
The Sabbath. The rest.
Go ahead. Somebody give me the answer.
Luke 6.
Luke 6,
What verse?
verse 1.
And
Watch this.
And it came to pass on the second
The
Sabbath
second Sabbath after the what?
after the first,
That they went where?
that they went through the cornfields.
See, so the first covenant was the first Sabbath. The second Sabbath
The second.
represents the New Testament,
Yes, sir.
right?
Absolutely.
So the corn is the doctrine.
Come on.
The corn is the doctrine.
Yes,
So
it is.
you got the labor. He said they did eat the corn. How did they do? What did they do?
They did eat rubbing
Them in their hands. So it's labor involved in this. We got the labor in the word and doctrine.
Come on.
So this Sabbath is the greater one.
Yes, it
But he
is.
said it came to pass that the second Sabbath after the what?
After the first.
That they went through it.
Yes, sir.
They went through the cornfield.
Went through the cornfields.
So we still got to keep the Sabbath.
The doctrine.
This is the ultimate Sabbath that we got to keep. He said in order for us to enter into that Sabbath, we got to cease from our own works. And what did Peter said, I think it's in Second Peter.
God Almighty. That's it.
Second Peter, the first chapter.
Good doctor.
No, First Peter.
First Peter.
Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. This is gonna back it up. The apostle come back with the same thing. First Peter 4:1. Watch this. See, we're building with Bible here. See.
Yes, sir.
He said that we gotta cease from our own works. And he said, "Come unto you that labor and are heavy laden,
Yes, sir.
and I'm gonna give you rest."
Yes, sir.
But people still want to do what they want to do, and it ain't working. He said that you're heavy laden. See, a mule, what they talking about, is a parable.
Yes,
The
sir.
mule was laden with certain pieces of things when they had to travel. The mule was laden, and sometimes when they had too much weight on the thing, it would bear down the mule.
Yes,
So he said, "You heavy laden," but the Lord said, "You heavy laden, not with your clothing and whatever else you traveling with, but you heavy laden with sin."
That's what you heavy with.
So that's why he said, "Take my yoke."
Good.
See, he's talking about a mule. The yoke represents God's discipline.
Woo, boy, come here. That's it.
See, he said, "Take my yoke and learn of me." See, because we got to be disciplined. You know when they say they trying to, what they say, break a horse in and stuff.
Yes, sir.
All that stuff you got to go through
Yes,
to
sir.
break the horse in. But you know what they say? The stallions run faster after they're broken. But when they're not broken, they don't run as fast after they're broken.
Wow.
That's a mystery.
That's, yeah. Man,
See, so he said, "Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I'm meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls."
Yes, sir.
See, now watch what Peter says. First Peter 4:1. Watch this. Come back and back it up.
For as much then as Christ have suffered for us in the flesh.
Watch this. Watch this. So what is he saying? Suffering in the flesh. What is he talking about?
In the body.
What's he talking about? What's he talking about? Watch this. Keep going.
Arm yourselves likewise with the same mind.
Because what?
For he that have suffered in the flesh
That's what?
has ceased from sin.
See, because it's a suffering involved in abstaining from something you was involved in. It's a suffering. He ain't talking about you had a stroke or a heart attack. That's not what he's talking about. He said it's suffering when you got to abstain from stuff that you was engaged in. It's a suffering.
That's a word. That's my word.
See, he has suffered in flesh has what? Cease. You know, he said cease from our own works. That's what we got to cease from. So we got to keep the Sabbath. We still got to charge to keep, but what Sabbath is he talking about? We just broke it down.
Yes,
This is the Sabbath. He's talking about the New Testament.
Yes,
Enter into God. This is it. The ultimate Sabbath. It ain't nothing else coming after this but the kingdom. That's why he said, what did John the Baptist say? And give me, I think it's Matthew.
Lord have mercy.
Give me Matthew the 3rd chapter. Watch this. See, people think, oh, it's just something's going to be worked out. And something's going to be worked out. This thing, he said the works were finished from the founding. It's already been worked out. If you don't want to line up with it, guess what? Watch what's going to happen. Give me the 3rd chapter, Matthew.
Third chapter.
What verse?
3rd chapter, I think it's I want to say it's verse 11.
Indeed baptize you.
All right, watch this.
When the devil leaves him, is that it?
Go down. Verse 11.
3rd chapter, verse 11.
What do you say?
And I indeed baptize you.
Right.
Is that it?
Keep on.
I indeed baptize you with water.
No, hold on. Go up before. Watch this. Verse 10. Watch this. This is what the deal is now. This is what the deal is now. So people that don't want to get into this rest, guess what? They believe something's going to be worked out in the end. Watch what's going to happen. What do you say?
And now.
Now.
Also.
So because when did the New Testament start? Did it start with Jesus or John the Baptist?
John the Baptist.
It started with John the Baptist. Why he said, and now what?
Also,
Right now, from the point he said that, and that was what? Over 2,000 years ago?
That's it.
Now, that what happened? What happened?
Also, the axe is laid
The axe, that's God. What?
to the root
What's gonna happen when the root is done? You done. What's gonna happen?
of the trees.
Then what happened?
Therefore, every tree which bringeth forth a good fruit is hewn down
Hewn down and cast in the way.
and cast in the fire.
And that's a problem.
Yep.
That's a problem. You ain't gonna keep burning. You're gonna burn up. Watch this. People say, "What? It's all parables. It's parables." Watch this. Watch what he said in verse 12. Watch this. Remember, this is gonna prove it. Watch this. If you set that tree on fire, how long is that tree gonna burn?
They're gonna burn.
That's the question. It's gonna burn until how long?
It's gonna burn up.
It burns up.
Till it burns up, and then it's going out.
Let's
Right?
go.
There you go. Watch this. In the same way, this is what's gonna happen.
Verse
What's
1.
gonna happen? You ain't gonna keep burning people. You're not gonna be rolling over.
No, sir.
What's gonna happen?
Whose fan is in his mind?
There you go.
And he will thoroughly purge his floor
That's talking about the earth. That's talking about the earth. What?
and gather his wheat
That's the righteous people.
unto the garner.
That's the kingdom. What?
But he will burn up the chaff.
Burn what?
Burn up the chaff
Burn up.
with an unquenchable fire.
That means the judgment is eternal. It's not talking about a literal flame. He's saying eternal judgment means you're gone forever.
Unquenchable.
You're burned up. So that's the consequences of not entering to God's rest. The other consequence, you're gonna be burned up.
That's a word. Yeah.
All right, let's go back to Leviticus. We're still laying the groundwork.
Yes, sir.
So so somebody asks you a question, do we have to keep the Sabbath? Yeah, but not in what you talking about. You got to keep the Sabbath. We got to keep the Sabbath by abstaining and ceasing from the works of the flesh, which is a challenge for everybody. Nobody can say they done got it all straightened out.
No, sir.
Nobody can say that.
Not like that.
Because it's been a battle. You look, some sins you yielded to,
Yeah.
and then they ain't gonna do but hinder your blessings. You're going around in circles,
Yep.
right? All right, Leviticus 23. Right? So the answer is we got to keep the Sabbath. And in it, we shall do no amount of work. So what did the apostle come back and say? So when he said, these things are writing to you that you what? That you what? What he said, what the apostle John said? It's saying the same thing. In it, you shall do no amount of work. Apostle John came back and said, little children are running to you that you sin not. Isn't that saying the same thing? In it, you shall do no manner of work.
No sin.
So how do we profane the Sabbath? How do we profane the Sabbath?
Don't live in sin.
There you go. Well, how do we profane the Sabbath? Sabbath means you defile. How do you defile the Sabbath?
That's a good question. Yeah, good with that one.
Okay, so if the Sabbath represents his rest, right?
Right.
If we're born again, we enter into his rest.
Right.
So when we defile the Sabbath, we profane it by sinning. I mean, you profane the Sabbath. So that's what he's talking about.